All right, welcome back. Episode 43 of the Young Old Heads podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tommy, aka TV Sports Cards, and I'm here with my good friend and co host, Max, aka Cards Max, aka Cards Max, RIP opening day, and welcome Sonic Edition. Max, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I was enlightened to the fact that Topps Chrome Sonic and Topps Chrome Regular are in fact different base cards due to the side that they put the Topps Chrome logo and the rookie card logo on. So I'm blessed that this is not just a reduce, reuse, recycle composting type of ordeal, but we have slightly different nuances in the cards, which I am happy with.
Oh, I am the opposite of happy. So if you missed this, Topps Chrome Sonic came out in the packs. It was kind of like what was the other
Came
product?
out on the 24th, but where it was recently discovered that the difference in the stock and the printing.
Yeah. So they put out Logo Fractor Edition like last year now, and those had the same base cards as normal Topps Chrome. So when Topps Chrome Sonic came out, everyone assumed that the base cards would be just like the Logo Fractors, where they would be the same as the normal Topps Chrome cards. But as you pointed out, Max, they put the Topps Chrome logo on the other side of the card for Sonic base cards just to annoy the shit out of me and confuse people for no reason.
But you know what they say about like assumptions, right? Like Topps Chrome logo fractors weren't ever like a standalone product. This is a configuration of Topps Chrome. Topps Chrome Sonic was always its own product. But I think this reminds me of like 2018 factory sets of Topps where Acuna and Glaber have the exact same images as their update rookie cards, but the rookie card logo is on the opposite side of the card. It's on the left side instead of the right side, or vice versa. And this is just giving me a little bit throwback to that. I think it's lazy by Topps. Don't get me wrong. And I think Topps is scamming people figuratively, not literally, but the metaphorical scam that happens in our minds when we trip on LSD. But you hear my point.
I mean, I guess I hear your point, but I do agree. Topps just being lazy, not doing enough quality checking, clearly as usual. Julio Rodriguez gets yet another rookie card that has the flagship looking design. So shout out Topps for putting out 45 different Julio Rodriguez rookie card to flagship rookie cards this year. You guys are truly an incredible company. But Max, in good news, I had fun this weekend. I was at a card show in Shipshewana, Indiana.
Yeah, first time in like 2 months.
I know, for real. If you've been listening to this podcast, you know that I've been to that show a few times. This time, I brought some cards to trade night. Trade night's really fun. It's always like it's literally at the same venue as the show, but it's just free tables. So if a table's open, you can just set up shop. If you want to pick up and walk around, you can just pack up your stuff, walk around. It's really fun. Max, trade night was insane because there was a huge blizzard. Like the biggest blizzard I have ever experienced in my entire life was the night of trade night,
Was trade night Friday night or Saturday night?
Friday night. So the
Okay.
lights kept flickering on and off in the venue, but everyone would break out their flashlights, and it was one of the coolest things ever because there's like 300 people there at trade night.
I was gonna say, I feel like that just means there's higher possibility of theft. I
Yeah,
feel
but
like
here's the thing about the Shipshewana show is that everyone who goes to that show has been to that show multiple times or like is a dealer at the show.
yeah,
So
exactly.
there's some built-in social
Yeah, and I
checking.
think there's that aspect of cards in general where like there is such a high level of mutual trust between almost all parties, unless you are just an Instagrammer under the age of 13.
Exactly. But I was talking with my friend Jake, who was at the trade night with me, and he was like, any other show, I would be a little bit nervous about the lights going out, but at Shipshewana, not worried at all. But it was cool. Card Collector 2 was walking around with his camera people. And Aaron from Slabstocks was also there. So it seemed like it had a little bit of that influencer vibe to it. But it's always a small town show where I love it because you can find a lot of cards in the $1 to like $100 range, raw cards. So that's kind of what I was picking up and what I was looking for. But show was fun. Stayed over Friday night. Saturday was the show. Walked around the show the whole time. Filmed a little video that I'll be putting out probably tomorrow. So if you want to watch my journey through the Shipshewana Card Show, check out my YouTube tomorrow. I'll be putting out a video and I'll be putting it on the Young Old Head story so you can check it out. But really fun show. Met, linked up with some of my old homies that I've met at the Midwest shows throughout the years. So that was fun. Felt a little bit like Cards Max, bouncing, traveling to a show, making deals. I think I spent a total of like $135 and I sold $55 of cards. So it was like a net $80 adventure for me. Not
So I so you spent $130 across multiple tables value boxes or just on one value box?
I think I think I had 6 or 7 different tables I bought a card from. So it was definitely a lot of me like digging through bins. The good thing about Shipshewana is that like everyone kind of has a value bin, and there's a lot of big dealers who bring their value bins like to Shipshewana who might not bring value bins to like bigger shows because they're trying to move bigger cards. So I love that because that means that these people have kind of like fresh inventory that people might have not picked through before, which I'm always a big fan of. There's a guy, Henry Reynolds cards on Twitter.
Yeah, I know.
He's a dealer, Midwest dealer who sets up a lot. He has like the dankest cards, like super high end stuff. But I talked to him after the show, and he was like, "Yeah, it was actually a good show for me. Like usually I'm over $100,000 cards is like kind of my game, but even at a show like this where it's mostly like $50, $100 stuff, he still had a good show for someone with that. So, you get a lot of those sort of dealers who are big dealers in the Midwest who go to Shipshewana knowing that the market and the people who are walking around are not the Zion briefcase holding influencer type people usually, but it's mostly like kids, families, and like people like me who are buying low end stuff. So I think that's kind of why Card Collector 2 has always been going to the shows because he really likes the low end deals that you can make there. But if anyone's ever in the Midwest and you're looking to go to a cool show and like a unique experience, I definitely recommend Shipshewana. Very welcoming environment for a show. The facilities are a little bit of a barn situation. So if you're looking for, you know, multiple urinals, don't go to Shipshewana.
What was the big clay that you bought?
So clays are few and far between, but this guy had a couple value bins of like some rare like revolution numbered stuff, a lot of like numbered optic inserts and base cards of random guys. So I dug through that. I found a cosmic revolution. I think we talked about revolution a little bit, Max, when we did that basketball card episode, but
Yeah.
cosmic out of 100 is usually one of the most popular in demand revolution parallels. Found a clay for like $7 of that, easy money. And then I found like the raining threes inserts in optic, Max.
Yes.
The raining threes, kind of an underwhelming parallel or insert most of the time, but I found a blue optic out of 49. Highlights from the trade night, I ran into this guy who's like the ultimate Steph Curry collector who has like all his blue optic parallels and PSA 10s, and most of them are pop ones. So it's like super randomly ran into this dude who just has some of the coolest Steph Curry cards. But I talk about this in my video that I'm going to put out, but Shipshewana is interesting for me as someone who's collecting West Coast cards because I've been traveling around the country for shows the last like year plus. And what I've realized is that I am kind of in a dead zone for the teams that I'm collecting out here. But that can be a good and bad thing. Like most of the time, people just don't bring their San Francisco Giants and their Golden State Warriors cards to Shipshewana, Indiana, because that's not really where people are buying those cards. So it kind of goes that way. But then there's also the other side where like I might be the only buyer in the entire show for this Klay Thompson card. So you're either going to sell it to me at whatever I'm offering, or you're probably not going to sell it. So it's like a win-lose situation. You get that, Max?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a hardball. I love leverage. And the leverage is always in the hands of the value box buyer, whether that's a bulk deal or whether that's a single. Both parties know that either neither party ultimately cares about the card, or the buyer cares about the card, but the card is easily replaceable on eBay or buying another card of that equivalent from a different player, from a different dealer most of the time. So use your leverage. Look them firm in the eye and tell them no, and make them crawl to give you your way. I feel like that's part of the fun of negotiating.
Yeah, and cash is always king. So if you have a $10 bill and the card has a $20 price tag, the person probably is going to take your $10 bill for it because that's cash money. I had a good conversation with this guy who sets up at Shipshewana, and Shipshewana is like the only show he sets up in all year. He'll set up at like I think it's every few months they have a Shipshewana show, and he always has raw kind of low end stuff. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll put $5 $10 cards in my $1 bin because I know I have to sell those on eBay, and the amount of time and energy that it goes into selling a $3 $5 card on eBay. I'd rather just sell it for $1 at the show." and he said he killed it because he had like a lot of really good value bins and stuff like that. So that's kind of the vibe of the show, and kind of the attitude of most of the dealers that aren't like these super big Midwest dealers. They also have sprinkled in these kind of like local guys who just kind of rip packs, buy cards on eBay, and this is their outlet to liquidate in person. It's kind of their only opportunity to.
Mhm.
So these dealers are kind of there every time. So now that I've been to the show a few times, I'm kind of like, oh, I know, I remember you have good bins. I'll go to your bins. A lot of playing the field, a lot of like walking around, trying to see dealers that I bought from before. If I see a new dealer, I'll check out their table, but did not buy a single card over $20 all week. I wanted to, but just nothing really caught my attention in the $100 range. So that was
Yeah, the lucky value collector TV sports cards.
real quick about that $500 card I bought or found in the dollar bin. I am going to give the card back to the dealer, mainly because he's such a big dealer and such a good guy that I know that if I give this back to him, he's gonna hook it up in the future. Is that a good or bad decision? You think, though, Max?
Um, my rule, or my, I guess, principle that I keep in my head is that if the card was intended to be in the value box, then it's fair game. If the car was obviously not intended to be in the value box, I think ethics and morals would say, okay, you have to return it back. Like if you see, I think I've used this example before. If you see like a Jackson Churio first Bowman Chrome auto in the dollar bin, and all the rest of the shoebox is like retail Prism parallels, then and the dealer says like, hey, like that wasn't meant to be for the dollar bin. I don't think it's ethically you can say, oh, but it was in the dollar bin. I want it for $1, or even but even without the dealer's intervention, I feel like you'd have to act up a little bit regardless.
Yeah,
But if it's an obscure mid 2010s insert that the dealer intentionally isn't researching or doesn't want any involvement with, that's when it's fair game to take it out
yeah, I
and
agree.
have its first back.
I'm mainly just giving it back because I know this dealer has the dankest cards on earth, and he hooks it up for me. And like,
Yeah.
he proposed that I sell it and we split the money. But honestly, I just don't want to deal with selling like that expensive a card on eBay and have to deal with the tax implications of that. So I'm just
Have
not.
you thought of just? I mean, the card sells for like $100. Have you thought of just trading him like trading bid back to him for like 200 a $200 card?
Yeah, that's probably what'll end up happening. And, like he stacks me up gold cups, and I'll
Yeah.
usually purchase them from him. But I'm sure
Yeah. So
he'll.
he's like a homie.
Yeah, he's a homie. So
Yeah,
that's
I know.
that's
I keep talking about this sometimes. I don't think I've said it on the pod incidentally enough, but there was a value box deal that I bought back in January. It was I think $300 for 325 cards or something like that. And it was almost I think there was like it was half like Tops junky numbered parallels and the other half was Panini autos and relics with some numbered in it. And in so I'm into this for like 97 cents per card and there was a 2021 Onyx auto of Fernan Celestin, I think is his name, and he was the number one ranked international prospect for the most recent January signing class. And I bought this slot in January. So his cards like rocketed as soon as I bought the slot. And I didn't even know who he was. Like I didn't recognize his card until I was pricing everything. And I see, wait, why is lowest available $100? This doesn't make sense. But in that situation, it's like, okay, the dealer, I know in this situation, the dealer just wanted the stuff gone. He was thrilled anyone was even offering $300 cash for this lot. And in you doing the dirty work and the laundry of listing it to eBay, if you find something that really is a big card in that lot, that's to your benefit because it's what the dealer intentionally didn't want to look up and research.
Yeah. I priced out a bunch of my own cards for the show because trade night, you can kind of set up and do your own dealing and stuff. So I sold some cards, but one of the cards I sold was a red, white, and blue Matt McClung Prism draft picks that I pulled like a year ago, and I got I think $60 for it, which was I was ecstatic. But that's a much lower level example of what you're talking about. When
Oh, that's huge. I had a, I mean, I know I'm late to the party, but I had a, I think 150, 200 Prism color parallels that I bought in like November or December. And I just searched them to see if I had a Cam Thomas parallel of Prism, and I did not.
Damn, that's tough. Cam Thomas, all right, the bubble. I love the like extreme bubble example of him. Uh, what have you been up to though, Max? What have you been up to in the last week?
Well, what have I been up to, Tommy? What have I been up to this past week? No card show this week. I don't. I went to Terrytown last week. I think last week was Terrytown, and I have Philly this upcoming weekend, 7 days from now, and Chicago show the weekend after that. Tommy's pumping his fist in the air. So card show break this weekend. I didn't go to any of my local shows. I haven't even been transacting much online. I mean, I don't want to spoil the end of the episode, but I don't have any eBay purchases this week. I've been buying and selling a little bit. Um, Tommy, I feel like what you're suggesting is the Ty Cobb that I traded out of that we touched a little bit on last week.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I wonder how we guessed that. But the deal is finalized. I want to shout out Logan's League for helping middleman the trade. And I posted the trade haul on Twitter, and I got massacred in the replies, appropriately so, because I traded for 20 different bulk, in quotes, cards for a grail piece for some collectors, including the collector I was trading it to. And shout out Veriswap for having extremely high fees and for us not doing the deal on that platform.
Shout out platforms where you can link up with people and then move it off platform.
Wink, wink, nod, nod. Veriswap, lower your fees or else no one's ever going to use you.
Max, you're about to get kicked off Veriswap after this podcast.
Yeah, don't worry. All two employees of the Veriswap company are listening to this podcast.
That's like low key.
I mean, our reach is pretty impressive, but I don't think we have the entire Veriswap office tapped in.
I love that we kind
Jokes
of had this
aside,
bit.
that was all a joke.
I love that we have this bit where like no one listens to the podcast, but now that people actually do listen to the podcast, we're gonna like accidentally start talking shit about someone who is, actually listening. But I hope we
Oh,
don't.
oh yeah, for sure. No, all of that was a joke. All it was irony, bro.
Always irony.
Yeah, no, I was talking with my accountant, or no, or my dad's accountant. I went to the accountant with him so that I could have a tax strategy. But there are a lot of hypotheticals, and that's part of the fun of that type of stuff.
That's awesome. I need
Yeah,
to do my taxes. Good reminder.
yeah, tax nerds.
I didn't really find anything too cool, Max, this weekend to talk about. Like in a like as I got the deal on this sort of way. I did have
Oh, wait,
one really.
what do you think of the Ty Cobb, the
Oh
deal? Now that you can visualize the cards that I got back.
yeah. Wait, you didn't say any of the cards you got back yet, right?
I said some of the highlights, but
I think you did last week. You said some of the highlights last
no,
week.
but I'm saying now that you can, did you see the full picture of the haul?
You just texted to me.
No, I tweeted it. Keith Olbermann responded.
Keith Olbermann responded.
Yeah.
What? Wait. All right. I'll go.
It is-
I'll go find this. While keep talking though.
Okay. Talk. So I was 20 cards in total with 3 freebies. The biggest card in the deal was a Beckett Vintage 4, 1954 Bowman Mickey Mantle. I feel like someone who's completely uneducated, and that I just learned like 2 weeks ago that Mickey Mantle did not have Topps cards in 1954 and 1955, and that Bowman signed him exclusively in
Interesting.
54 and 55. And in 56, Topps bought out Bowman. So they acquired the Mantle rights in that.
Oh my god, dude! I can't believe. All right, so Keith Olbermann responded to Max's tweet about this trade, and he said, "Some modern junk plus off-condition mantle and Teddy for a Cobb?" Question mark. This is from Keith Olbermann. Max goes, "Heck yeah!"
Yeah.
No response from Keith Olbermann to that, but of course, your favorite person. Can I out this person
Yeah.
you don't like responds Cobb all day every day, sweet trade. Keith Olbermann, please follow me back. That's like your biggest annoyance. I feel like is this person trying to use your
Oh, I
thread.
don't have anything with that person badly personally. I thought that was a little bit of a funny tweet.
Yeah, no, it's always funny when no one likes a tweet. Not a single person.
Yeah. Like, but no, that
That's
was a little funny. Keith Olbermann was making some dents into ratioing me, but wasn't successful. Although the responses overwhelmingly supported the Cobb side, and hey, I'm glad I was able to get a big card into a collector's home.
That's a classic ignorance case though, where like no one you have these all these ways of liquidating cards, and like that lot is actually probably easier for you to make money on than the one cob card. But we have all these collectors and wannabe collectors out there who are like, oh, I'd rather
Wanna
have
be
the cob.
collector.
No shit, you'd rather have the cob than 20 cards, but you're not a dealer, you know?
Yeah, and even, like, some dealers, I'm gonna poke a little bit fun of at Rohan, Sad Mafia Sports, who was saying, "Oh, yeah, you got it for that haul, that's not enough haul," and even I got, I think, a DM saying, "Oh, yeah, those are, those cards you got back are like a used car," and I'm like, "My brother in Christ, if you can't move a Luka Doncic base PSA 10, then you got some bigger fish you got some bigger kahunas to fry." That's for sure.
Yeah,
But
it's
no, that's not any personal side of anyone, but that's at least the rationale of when I'm making this deal. It's like, okay, this is stuff that I can move at 90% comps or set a new comp because I'm, being adept at eBay and knowing good SEO and knowing good advertising helps you. We overviewed that last episode to an extent, and getting the value out of the deal is what makes sense.
yeah, and I'm not trying to hate on anyone individually, but I think that everyone looks at these trades as like, oh, would I do this trade? But you're not Cardsmax. Cardsmax grinds and has a lot of ways that he sells cards. You are you, and you probably are not making these sort of big deals.
Well, that is a little flattering, but look, you just got to be vehement and list everywhere. And really, if the value makes sense, I think I was getting approximately um, about 30% higher in trade than what I paid for in cash on the cob. Give or so it was, and also pretty much every single card in that lot is $75 or higher, and I want to say at least half of them are like $300 and higher. So the picture looks worse than it actually is, which I think is a little bit funny.
Yeah, but I stand by it. I stand by my defense of Cardsmax on this trade.
Oh, we should do a
Fuck
podcast
you, Keith
together.
Olbermann.
Yeah,
Max, that was fun. I like hearing about your deals, but I think we should just close it out. Keep it short and sweet this week because I'm working on this video and I want to get back to it.
yeah.
Can I talk
This
about a
is.
few cards I bought real quick, and then you can do a rant about whatever you want?
I think this is a short week this week. I've just been grinding. I've been grinding eBay for the most part. I've been doing like case studies of like lots of different stores on eBay and or stores that I at least view as successful, and I'm trying to like both from like a peer to peer level of like peers that I know that grind eBay, and as well as like some of the bigger stores on eBay, and I'm trying to look at how many uploads they do in a day. Like I looked at Burbank, and they did about 2,000 I think I approximated like 2,190 uploads for the 1-day sample I was looking at. And while some of the other smaller stores that are friends or the other dealers per se, I hate using that term, but they're like friend dealers, were doing like 20 to 40, some doing like 75. And I've recognized the rationale of like, okay, if I can do 50 uploads a day, then like I can like slaughter almost everyone if I can do that consistently, which is difficult, but that's what like the bar that I'm trying to keep at least while I have this free time in the short term. But it doesn't take if I'm good at my eBaying, I can do about a listing a minute before factoring in the time it takes to take pictures. And I think just doing that a little bit a day helps your algo. I've been getting some sales, and all is good if you just clear the cards out of your closet.
I love how competitive you are with listing on eBay, Max. How like you get yourself in these like mini competitions with people about how many cards you can list in a day and that sort of stuff. I feel like that does that keep you like fresh, you think? Like
Comparison is the thief of joy. But ultimately, like, I try to be ambitious in everything. I feel like, I mean, even reflecting in life in general, some of those dimensions that I've been competitive in have been lacking, or I think motivation is, sorry, Mr. Two-Star Reviewer, motivation is bullshit. And you just have your framework of mind and how you attack the day, no matter what. But at least reflecting on myself, I'm like disappointed in how my motivation for certain things has been attributed. But apropos of that, making sure you have a little bit of a joking word, hunger, making sure you have the ambition, the veracity to conquer anything in life is important. And if you're not giving it your all, then why bother? So that's just one dimension, at least a dimension while that I enjoy because it's cards, there's analytics and numbers, it's turning rags to riches, which I think is an underdog type theme that human beings naturally gravitate to, myself included. I'm a human being, I'm a real human being. So eBaying is just another fun way of trying to get, and I very much, one of my favorite tweets that I do most days is the eBay outgoing mail. And I think the other day I had like a bunch of like garbage I on my desk, and then I had like a Luca Hollow Beckett 9.5 and then an Anthony Volpe PSE 10 green auto, which technically wasn't an eBay sale, but he reached out because he saw my eBay listing, so I count that. And it's like, okay, this is just a colossal range. I try to make it unfiltered. I try to make it cards, and I like giving people the preview of what's on my desk to go out in the mail almost entirely because I love seeing that from other people, and I guess I like to give people a taste of what I do and provide more of that content in this. I hate that word content, but more that digest, ability to consume that in this sphere, because it feels like everyone who is like legit a beast and an animal on eBay, it just is not seen in the social media aspect of the hobby. It is entirely seen in like old head LCSs and underground, like behind the scenes business logs that just don't see the light of day, but do still very well exist.
Your outgoing eBay mail tweet is like my favorite thing. I think that is on Twitter these days in the hobby. Like seeing what sort of stuff people are buying from your store is always fascinating to me. So even as someone who talks to you all the time about cards, it's still super fun for me to like tune in and see, oh dang, you moved that one, good shit. Like that's dope.
Yeah,
It's
and
always
like
good to see.
I try not to include the Twitter. I mean, I try not to include Twitter stuff because then it's just like a weird flex. Because the people that see me sell a card on Twitter, like, also that know that I'm like mailing it. But and the my side, just in order to keep it like specific to eBay, or sometimes I label it like eBay PWE sales, which means I have probably had some slabs that I probably posted a bit too much about, and I don't want it to take the spotlight away from the image. And I do like having people like guess like what the value is of the picture. I think that's always a fun game.
That's what I try to do. I try to add up like how much I think you made in the day or whatever. That's what
Yeah,
I do.
someone else had me guess the value of their picture of their outgoing, and I guessed $60. It was actually $70, and I'm like, I'm on my game. I know my stuff.
I
Um,
uh, I didn't when I was pricing out my cards for Shipshewana, I just did not comp a single thing. I was just like, if I'm low on this, I just aired on the side of low, and I was like, I just want to move it. So I was like,
oh,
no,
and
the card's
exactly
not
that's what I want to
smelly.
capitalize on when I'm buying. It's like, okay, I know what I can get out of some of these cards. And some of the cards like genuinely surprised me. Like I'm looking at the most recent, not to toot my own horn way. I'm looking at the most recent like outgoing eBay mail. I had a Danny Santana Donruss 2022 red auto to 49 from the 1988 retro insert set. Yeah, I have to do that amount of research on a parallel. Like when I'm grinding these listings, I literally have Cardboard Connection open for Panini Baseball, and it is like mind-bummingly boring. But now I know some of the parallels. But out of 49, veteran auto of Danny Santana. Um, it's sold via promoted listing. It sold for $12.49, which like shocked me because I'm like, wow, I'm gonna put this here and it's gonna sit forever. Sold immediately. And then I noticed it's sold by promoted listings. I had Red Sox in the title, and I saw that like Danny Santana has like zero Red Sox autos. And he even in general, he has not had like an auto card in forever outside of that 2022 Donruss set. Not that it's like a coveted thing. It's not like, okay, buy your Danny Santana autos. But I'm looking at it right now. I don't think he's had an auto since 2015.
Never doubt the
He was
commitment
an,
of
he was a
auto
rookie in
collectors.
2014.
Auto collectors will always know what like the only card of this jersey in this jersey autoed is for a player. I feel like the auto dudes grind like nobody else.
Yeah, so it completely surprised me. Oh, and I see just now this on the same day another one sold for $7.10. So I got my 12.50. Thank you very much
Hell
for
yeah.
not having guest offers on. But like that was just a card that even like surprises me when I sold it. And then like that was in the same, like I got that card for 97 cents. If I were buying in bulk. I don't know. And that's also a card where it's like I wouldn't really want to touch it if it's not like $1 or two.
Yeah. Well, this has been a good episode, Max. I'm gonna cut us off real quick since we don't really have any eBay buys. We were at shows, etc. I will be putting in my 2 weeks notice at LUDX on Tuesday because I got a new job. I got a really cool job offer that I'll be talking about more next week. But just letting everyone know, I'm going to be departing from the card collecting industry for just a little bit, starting a new job that I'm super duper excited about that I never would have gotten if I didn't have my experience at LUDX, helping grow that brand and everything and start it. But if anyone wants to reach out and wants to talk about that, feel free to reach out. But me and Max will be talking more about this next week and the week after when he's in Chicago, when we're going to be doing a little Young Old Heads vlog live from the Chicago Spectacular. That'll be pretty cool. But yeah, very, very happy and excited about this new job opportunity. Nothing but love for LUDX and the stuff that we got to do there. And yeah, I will know more next week, so I will be down to disclose more information. But just wanted to let all the mini listeners that we have, Max, know
Yeah.
since they've been following along on my kind of journey in life for both of us in the last year. So
Sure that I can corrupt you into being involved in cards in as high of a scope as possible from an enjoyment standpoint. Make sure that you're involved not just in flipping, but because you hate flipping. Flipping is for the devils.
no,
Yes, but
no, but I'm excited. I'm gonna have more time to like devote all my card content energy towards young old heads and my own accounts, and looking forward to help to do more stuff with young old heads in the next year,
yeah,
and maybe doing some my own YouTube stuff too if I have time. But
yeah.
yeah,
So you telling me you're being a full-time YouTuber?
maybe in 10 years. The goal with this next job, Max, is make the world a better place, make a lot of money, and then be able to just spend the rest of my life making card YouTube content and podcast content with you. That's the goal.
Aw, have you ever thought of owning a card shop ever?
No. Maybe if I had infinite dispensable income, that'd be fun, but
Yeah.
not in the
I
short term.
My answer for that question, because you know, I guess peers and in general, like other people sometimes ask me, it's like if I'm like 60 to 65 and I'm like retired, then yeah, that just seems like so fun. Like if like the money is settled and it's like I've already enjoyed my career that I can hang up on in a more stressless atmosphere, then yeah, that's just like such a fun thing to enjoy. But outside of that, no. And it just kind of gave me the epiphany that Jimmy from Kentucky Roadshow, who I personally have never interacted with, but seems like a great guy. I was just that he did that. And then he started his card shop after most of his career was over, and that he did that later in his life. It makes me feel like a young buck that I am 23,
Yeah,
but I know the age climbs quickly.
exactly. So,
Oh, I have one last anecdote because it
yeah,
is a little fun. Um, currently like investigating buying a car for like personal and work use, and or buying a different car than I was using before. And I was looking at, I'm like, okay, how's like the best way to like buy a car? I'm looking at all these articles and they're all like Fugazi articles. They're like, oh, make sure you don't get in debt and like make sure you like pay your loan balance on time. I'm like, okay, great, but that like tells me nothing about cars. It's like I want to learn about cars. So I googled, because the amount of times that I like in real life and oh, you flip cars, it's like no, I flip cards with a D. So I'm like, okay, car flipping, I got to go Google that. And I'm seeing like all these do-it-yourself channels, and it's like all these different ways to diagnose problems in a car, and like all these ways to find value and like check the comps relative to the Kelly Blue Book. And I found it both like entertaining, and it's like, oh wow, this stuff is like actually like just a market, just like anything else. And on my to-do list is to watch more Antiques Roadshow. It's a show that I haven't watched much of, but my parents love it, and I love my parents. Obviously, not even unobviously, I love my parents in all facets. But um, Antiques Roadshow, I have to watch that on my own a little bit, just because I think the valuation of anything is inherently interesting, and comparatively seeing the scarcity of something, that's the value of something is different, whether it's put on auction or whether it's the comp book value or it's the Facebook marketplace buying the clunker car that needs to be, wire cabled in order to start. All of that stuff is inherently interesting. and it's not just exclusive to cards. I just love cards most. Cards is just my favorite child.
My favorite thing is to like take economic things that I have either read about in other markets and then take it to the card world or vice versa. Very fun thing, especially as someone who studied econ in college and stuff. But Max, it's been a good episode. Episode 43. Can't believe we made it 43 freaking episodes, dude. That's insane.
That's 9 episodes from a year. What are we going to do for the year-long celebration?
I don't know. We'll have to figure something out. But thanks for everyone for listening. This has been a fun one. As always, reach out to us on social media if you want to talk cards during the week. We're always game. Max, any parting thoughts for the homies?
Buy the card, not the grade.
Bang. See you guys next week. Peace out.